Woo! That is a bit of background static pop. Let's get that shit under control. What's up, y'alls? Anybody joining here on a Thursday freaking night? Pretty delish. And had a shamrock shake with the youngin'. And I tell you what, it wasn't too damn bad. But I'm up to some hijinks tonight. I'm a little bit tired. Well, who the fuck am I kidding? I'm a lot tired. So, been burning it pretty much day and night doing this artwork hustle. Trying to get people to appear on here and nobody fucking has time. It's not fun, but I do what I do. So, I've actually got a little bit of show and tell right now before I get to the beefy shit. So, of course, I'm still not quite finished with this painting. And I better make sure that everybody can see that. So, as you can see, it's pretty much where I left it the last time I worked on it. However, during the day, I've been a bit of a wanderer, so to speak. Been all about the Frazetta style Conan. And so I started doing some roid type pics of my dude. Just kind of inspired by the old writings where he's walking on the mighty thews. Which, if anybody doesn't know what that means, it's like the sinewy, grasping muscle. His friggin' thick ass legs and cakes and shit. But yeah. My man is supposedly moves like a jungle cat and has the grip of a mountain gorilla. You know? Has the heads of kings under his sandaled feet with a jeweled crown of Aquilonia. So, I just did some sketches on it. A little bit of the muscularity shit. It's never bad to take advantage of when you're doing shit. Matter of fact, just laying some sketchies down. Did some little wandering in the sketchbook with my markers. Thought, hey, why don't I just see what happens if I decide to go with these paints and do whatever. And you know, I gotta say, these little markers, I have not been disappointed once with how they perform. So, good job, Hobby Lobby. Even though I don't want to support you from a principle standpoint, you make good shit. Like, this is the best little paint marker I've honestly ever held. And that's saying a lot because I've got a thing full of Poscas here. And arguably, the Poscas have better paint, but this right here is much more versatile with its little brush tip. And they seem to hold quite a bit of acrylic paint. So these things are awesome. If you're looking for something to doodle with, they're not that expensive. Like I said, when I introduced these new pets, Hobby Lobby has almost always got stuff on sale for like 40% off. Even if they're not 40% off, if you're kind of serious about investing in good, versatile art equipment, supplies, you can't miss with these. They're mad blendable. They dry really nicely. And, I mean, they're solid. This is Bristol board. And there's no way that stuff is going to peel or crack off or anything. It's just there. It's in the paper. So, love that stuff. But, yeah, so took a little side quest from Homegirl here. Did some sketches sometimes I look at pictures throughout the day. Thought I would, well, that's not actually the one I want to do. Talked with the older brother the other day. We were talking about a possible collab with my original character, and so I started going back to the sketchbooks on him, and I need to keep working on him because every time I sketch him out, the presence becomes more and more solidified. Yep, that's how that is. And even practicing on like the big old hands, trying to get the mannerisms down of how the storytelling is going to go. And yeah, just got to keep pushing on and pushing on. But yeah, initially sketching, always start out kind of stiff. And I'm trying to see what I'm showing off. Okay. Yeah, so it's pretty obvious. At one point I was just like I think I had to tell my daughter Conan was on like every other day on AMC this month. I think it was between AMC and Sundance that shit was playing. And so I had to obsess a little bit, go upstairs and get the Savage Sword comic book. I've got a collection up there. And I friggin' love that old school pulp ink style comic, the magazines. I think they're really pretty stinking incredible. But that's what I've been doing during the day when I'm just kind of doodling and supposedly maybe working kind of part of the way. Maybe, sort of. But the other thing I did was last night I kind of went through the inks that I had done earlier, and I just kind of wanted to show some progress on these guys. So here, of course, we've got the good old Brando. Can't remember what movie that is from. It could be just a publicity photo of him trying to friggin' promote moisturizers, some shit. But I did that one quite a while ago with that. I believe that was just a Bic pen. Yeah, Bic pen and ink. So that is also him looking frustrated as Colonel Kurtz is ready to deliver a head into your lap. Not his own. Gary Cooper. And then we've got El Diablo. And so these are just sitting here. I did this one last week on camera, for the most part. Sometimes I was kind of messing with it off camera, but just wanted to see about getting a Jaguar in. It's a good idea to do animals every now and then. Well, as a matter of fact, they should be part of your fundamentals to develop, a lot of things. I mean, the proportions on animals are different. You have to look at them completely differently when you realize how their bodies are different, how their heads are, how their teeth sit. It always messes with your perceptions because getting them laid out and actually completing it, it makes you think, because it forces you to actually place things as they actually are rather than as you perceive them in your own mind. So, and then we've got the Pit Viper. That is also, well, and on the Jaguar, this is actually mostly, what are these bad boys? these are my Shinhan liner pens. And Shinhan, that is a Korean brand, and these pens are pretty awesome. Love how they lay ink in. The ink seems to be on these liners of higher quality than a lot of other inks, even than the Microns and the Stettlers, and those are really good. But these ones, there's something a little better in the flow about them. You do have to be a little more careful because they're more stiff on the nib here, and so they're easy to kind of push inward. Want to be careful, and I have broke a couple of them when I was trying to overwork. And they are a little bit troublesome to come across. If you have a bigger city where there's a good art store available, you may come across them more easily. In a big market like San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, Boston, Seattle for sure. But out here in the sticks, you may have to order off of Amazon or Jerry's. So, yeah, that's what I did that with. And I also used some alcohol pens to put in some of the grays and give it a little more pop. And the alcohol pens that I used, those were my Copics. I have a set of Copics. They were gifted, much appreciated. And they do beautifully when you're actually using the colors. They blend and everything really nicely. The Viper, he's on a tree branch. And this guy started quite a while ago. I probably worked on it for about a month straight, and then I just left it alone for a few months. But I finished it a couple of weeks ago. Just saw it, and I was like, God damn, I missed you. But I need to finish you. So I wouldn't necessarily call it all the way done, but it's done enough that I'm satisfied with it. So, and that, again, is ink pens. Some of the highlight are a little bit of the white markers, white ballpoint pens. This is the Jelly Roll. And these lay down quite a bit of white ink, so you got to be kind of careful with them. You got to practice with them a little bit and understand what their capabilities and are and how they run. But then there's this guy, which I also use, this Faber Pit Artist pen brush. And it lays down a much paler white. It tends to ghost a little more. The gel pen lays down very solid, bright white. So the other one you can build up a bit. But those are good for bringing out the pop. Don't have to worry about so much about leaving something super light. You can get the contrast with white ink. And don't worry about saying, oh, well, you're a good artist and you could have done it without it. And all I gotta say is, you know what? Sit on your fucking thumb. If you want to criticize, why don't you show us the way? Alright. So here's Mr. Sonata. I started him actually a few months ago, and I left him completely alone. I hit a wall on him where I was just like, shit, it looks like it's supposed to, but you know, I just kind of blanked, kind of like I'm doing right now. But it was about 2-3 nights ago. I was going through this Bristol sketchbook, and this Bristol board sketchbook is really awesome. This Bristol board is super heavy duty, and it takes these, and a lot of people would say, well, you're using ink pens on them, or ballpoint pens. And yeah. You can use whatever you want to make art. It doesn't matter. Just if you like it, and it's the medium that you're choosing to use right then, have fun with it. See what its limitations are, see what your limitations are. And so yeah, that's what I've been doing. So So I really like the way that the darks and lights, the contrasts are kind of interplaying here. And I used a little bit of white pen, not too much, but I think I kind of, with him, I forgot the rule of, you just need to keep putting work in and see what happens. So I think I kind of psyched myself out with this one a while back, just because it was looking like it was supposed to, but it didn't have that punch. It didn't have a striking good contrast or definition that I was used to. And at that point, I thought I had already overworked it. Apparently fucking not. So left it alone a while, left him in the sketchbook, and then went back to it. And I said, you know what? You've been sitting here all that fucking time. Let's go for it. And so I went for it. And now I think he's pretty well done. Maybe some minor stuff, but it is very minor. Minor enough that I went ahead and signed it. Finito. So, next one that I'm taking up for ink. Because ultimately, the big artwork that I was doing, and I wish I would have recorded it when I did it, because I've got the big painting on the wall. I have to take a photograph of El Corazon. Oh yeah, here's my practice ghost dog. That's the first night I had some new markers, and got also a blender for a colored pencil. If you haven't ever used a blender for a colored pencil, they work pretty awesome. So yeah, a lot of products that you can use. Anybody want some fish? Yeah, don't know why I did that, just felt like drawing a fish. So the koi, he's a little bit ugly, but I forgive him. Matter of fact, I know that I'm going to draw more of these eventually, so it's like I said, with animals, they make you change your perception, how you plan stuff. And the big challenge I would say is look at reference photos and try to do them freehand as much as possible. Break it down like you're doing a cartoon. And like I said, it makes you think about how animals are actually built. Like, horses, you stare at them from one angle and you swear to God, it's like, how does something get ribs that wide? Standing like that, it looks like a lollipop. And then it turns and it looks like it's gonna, got the speed and the power to just, break down steel doors and shit. So, looking at animals is good practice. Sketching them out. Doing pictures from portraits. Not necessarily family portraits or anything, but take pictures out of magazines. Look at them, analyze them, break them down. Darks and lights. Get some tracing paper. Get a light table. Light tables are cheap right now. Well, they may be for another week. Who knows next week? The price of diesel. Them shits could be up double. The fun of this world. Yeah. So, announcement. I just saw a headline where dear leader blamed former President Obama for an F-15 getting fucking shot down. Oh, it makes me tingle. So exciting. Blaming Obama for some shit that happened right now. The mental gymnastics there. I don't know if I would call it mental gymnastics. There are people who are definitely going to side with him and try to make that case. Most likely because they either are afraid of getting jumped on by him. And, you know, he had somebody quit on him this week. That oh man, I can't remember his name, but he was the number 2 with the national intelligence behind, oh gosh, what's her name? She's from Hawaii, but she was in Georgia raiding the voters area. Now I have to look at a story and see what the hell. Because as much as I would like to watch Pam Bondi squirm with her bullshit and the Dow, that's still my favorite thing. How dare you? How dare you? President Trump, the Dow. All I know is Bruce Lee will tell you what the Dow is. That's what I'm here to say. I will testify to that shit. I'll swear on a stack of them. Well, it looks like all of my channels are rolling pretty good. Yeah. So Donald Trump threw attacks at Obama about his previous Iran deal. Somehow that had something to do with that F-15 jet getting shot down just a little bit ago. And not really shot down. The pilot survived, which is good, because that way he doesn't have to wear that. But, you know, still, I mean, that's like fucking, you know, trying to connect dots that just don't connect. Like the Tylenol and autism thing. That was a major announcement. Alright, I know I can find her here. And I'm pretty bad with names. But, you know, we've got Mark Wayne Mullen, who, that was magical. Mark Wayne Mullen didn't challenge anyone to a fight. He did want to get up and slap Rand Paul, but I think Rand Paul had him pretty well owned. Okay, I just remembered her, even though I didn't see her first. Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard's number 2. Dude quit with a big letter of resignation, talking about how he could not in good conscience abide by this war that was started on a decision, on a whim, where Iran posed no imminent threat. And watching Tulsi Gabbard in there just squirming horribly. I'm wondering if they're getting the message yet that what's going to happen is no matter what happens to him, they're on their own. They really are. Like, people to him are toilet paper. They're something to use and discard. Like, really, if shit got bad enough, Don Jr. would be out. He's probably going to go down on something. You know what his dad will do? Well, he's a loser. He's always been a loser. Alright. Enough of that shit. Because the big thing that you may be wondering is, what is John Wick doing in all his glory here? So, I always have trouble picking subjects to go ahead and draw. So I decided Keanu is going to be my next subject. And so I'm actually Got them in Photoshop right now. And I thought I'd show off a little bit of my process, because ultimately, to get any of this stuff done, you got to know how to draw anyway. But when you have know-how on certain crafts and transferring, see, this was a practice run that I did. I don't know if anybody remembers the bride when I drew her, but this one, the final one, I gave to my daughter. She's got her sitting in the room next to the Frankenstein. And so they look like a loving couple there up on the wall, looking like fucking gothic ma and pa. So back to focus. Keanu's next. I know that sounds kind of Goldberg-ish. Goldberg. Yeah, Goldberg. That's right. My English always fails us late at night. It's more like English. So I already did some filters on him, and as a matter of fact, this photograph, I had to upscale it and do a couple of filters. I did the brightness and contrast, which, already having done it, that just makes the shadows and everything more pronounced. So if you can actually see that on the little screen, ooh, dramatic, yes. And so I hadn't adjusted it yet. I did adjust it before I brought it over, and I may adjust it a little bit more, but not too much. You can do brightening in case you need to see more details, but you can kind of interplay those just in case you need to get, you know, a more intense look. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do probably some color channels and turn this into either a blue or a gray. And that's going to be ready to either, you know, trace through a light table or just use some transfer paper on here. Because it's going to go on this stuff, Bristol board. And I'm going to go for it with the ballpoint pens. I mean, what the hell? They cost $2 for like 10 of them. And I love the way they look when I'm, you know, actually get them going. So I think he's a good subject for that. So we're going to go ahead and do a little more adjustment, because ultimately there's going to have to be enough to play with in the color channel when I convert it. I know you may not know what the hell that means, but this is the original photograph. And so that's what I upscaled from. That was a web image. It was originally 75 DPI, and I upscaled it to around 600. I do believe that is. Let me see. Yeah, it's at 600. So I think that got it enough detail, close up enough, and this is only going to be 5x7. So theoretically it shouldn't take too long, but those are my famous words that I always say before something just really pisses me the fuck off with how much I did not anticipate it was going to be difficult. It was going to carry a struggle with it. But that seems to be enough contrast to where I like it. Well, John Wick, that's not the one I want. This little guy, 5x7. And so we're going to throw on another adjustment layer. And we're going to do black and white. Okay. And if you see this little window here, all these little channels, you can lay in and out with how much of each of those colors is represented. Yeah, yellow is not. Yeah, well, that's pretty good right there. Yeah, that's some good extra dimension right there, sales. Matter of fact, let's go all in with the yellow. Yeah, blue is a bit much. Yeah, cyan's a bit much too. Aha. There we go. Yeah, that keeps it just interesting enough. Brings out a little bit of his flaws. As flawed as he can be in his fucking 50s. And, you know, still carrying a chiseled chin and shit. Fuck you, bro. Fuck you all to hell. Alright, so I think this is going to get the print. As a matter of fact, let's see about the opacity here. Nah, that's no good. Okay. So we're going to see if that'll do, because I am running a little bit low on ink, but I want to be able to have this light enough that I can kind of see through it a little bit when I'm scraping on it. Let's see, with my stylus, and I hope I still have a stylus. I think I absolutely do. I just misplaced them time to time. And if not, I bought like 5 extras. So, yeah, listen to all my art supplies over here just clicking around. And yes, I did buy this as an art kind of organizer. And yeah, I do know it's for carrying a 6-pack of sodas. But it's also for carrying what the fuck I want. Okay, so calm down. Oh snap. Yeah, I guess I don't have the stylus. So I'll have to pull out another one. Because I tried to use the fat kid styluses and they're no good. They are no damn good. Well, as a matter of fact, I think I've got one on the desk. I may. So if anybody's watching, one of the things that I thought I would do eventually is I made some oh, what the hell is that shit called? Origami chrysanthemums. And I was thinking about making some origami installations. I did buy some paper, and I found a lot of interesting things to do. Matter of fact, I don't think I've got my little origami. Oh, yes, I do. But I was so proud of this guy. And that's right, it's an X-Wing. I made that a few months ago. And every now and then, it's like a little comfort blanket. Can hold on to him and pray to the Force. Try to channel it and get shit done. So, that said, we're going to hit print on this mofo. And I do believe my printer's on. If not, I may throw something through the wall. Alright, Keanu. Let's get cooking, brah. We'll do 2 copies. I may have enough ink for that. I hope so. What? Yeah, you want me to use actual numbers? There he is. Printer's doing what it does. So anyway, if anybody ever wants me to do a little bit of an exploratory with origami, I was going to do a interceptor TIE fighter, but then I got busy with all this other stuff. Now, ultimately, I know that for most the things that I do, the artwork is going to be what kind of takes the cake for attention. That said, this is fun and wholesome, and there are a lot of, and really that's one of the things that I enjoyed about it, was exploring the kind of projects that people who do origami have kind of made up, because everybody's got kind of the basics that they can just get in a book, like doing cranes, friggin' ducks, stuff like that, the frog. But no, people are getting all sorts of creative with these, and I do believe I saved the YouTube video for this in a folder that I labeled strictly origami. So I've got like probably a good 15 projects in there that I love the way they looked. I have a TIE fighter in there that some dude made, and it is super intricate, but you can do it with one piece of paper. In any case, I hear my printer has stopped, so I'm going to take a second and go make sure we've got something that we can trace. No, move. I'm going to step on you. All right, ladies and gents. So check it out. I've got 2 printed, 1 for reference, 1 to trace. Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure out, given the tone that these came out, Daddy's ink's running low. And I don't want anybody to take that to mean anything except what it fucking is. Ink's running low in my printer. I got to go get a couple cartridges in that 10-year-old bad boy. That printer's about 16 years old. Shit. Why do they make cartridges for it still? But it's a Canon, and it's really good. It's a second-hander. Somebody gave it to me, and it has been good this entire time. But I digress. It's probably time to actually spend some real money on a printer that's going to be a little more up to some of these tasks. One that actually has Wi-Fi, because not to shit on it, but it does not have Wi-Fi. And normally I'd be like, oh, who gives a shit? But the more I'm doing this sort of thing, the more I'm realizing I want less cords that have to be laid out. And so I have a great microphone here that works well, but I have to lean into it so everybody can hear me. I do not have a swing arm for it. I don't have a boom. And so it's either get the boom, or I think I'm going to have to get a headset with Bluetooth capability. I know that there are a couple that I've eyeballed that have like an insane amount of hours that you can use them. It's like a 30-hour battery. But Yeah, some days you got to think about leveling up if you actually want to level up. You got to level up the shit you're working with, too. And here I am, about to make artwork with a ballpoint pen. Yeah, I should probably think about drinking something here in a minute. It has gotten warm these last couple of days here in the eastern Washington. I've been exceptionally dried out because that winter chill is leaving. It's about time to start turning on the ACs or get the fans going during the day. Oh man, I hate the way my voice sounds when I dry out like that. Start sounding like Grampy. I don't got my normal silkiness. And I'm probably not going to take terribly long tonight. You know, like I said, I'm already pretty tired. I wish I would have been able to get more artwork on earlier. But, you know, I took the little one to get the Shamrock Shake, and that was pretty much it, man. Sometimes that's all I got in the tank after a full day of work. But I am happy to be hanging with anybody who might have moseyed their way in here while they're watching me, I guess, look like a bit of a stalker with what I'm doing. Fucking judge me. But yeah. That, I think, is going to come out to be a very nice project. As a matter of fact, looking back on Sonata's face, and I want to make sure I get his name right because he's one of my favorite actors. And he has been in a lot of movies. Okay, Hiroyuki Sanada. It's Hiroyuki. But he's probably in his 60s now. And he was one of my favorite. The first thing I ever saw him in was The Last Samurai. And I remember around the time that came in, that movie came out, a lot of people were talking trash, like, oh, Tom Cruise is the samurai. Of course The Last Samurai would be a white guy. No, you have to watch the movie to get it. He wasn't trying to steal thunder there. You watch the movie and you'll understand who it's about. It ain't about my man Tom Cruise, even though that's like the man crush reason I went and saw it in the first place. But, you know, if you know, you know. Alright, I'm going to get out my tracing paper and get this mofo taped down. And this is, whoa. Whoa, doggy. I think I lost all my... No, I did not lose my tracing paper. I'm just being stupid and presumptuous. I have a whole damn pack of it right here. But these are old. These are so old, I think that they probably heard the low whir of an Apple II turning on, and as a classroom full of young hopefuls started playing Oregon Trail, and the government carefully watched to see which of us was going to be morally flexible. And those are the things I grew up with. Oregon Trail. I always died of cholera. I'd always try to ford the river, lose my entire fucking family. And I'm pretty sure you can download a version of it from, you know, any number of sources for free now. Okie dokie, man. That's how we're going to tape you in. And that's how you're going to sit until I tell you friggin' otherwise, broski. Alright, where's my tape? Ja! Alright. Serious business now. Go ahead and make sure that these are joined together properly. Matter of fact, I'm almost wondering if I should do them in such a way that they can just flip out and flip back over this way. That might be the best way to go about it. We're going to do the actual ceremonial staining. Bam! That's ready to go. But if anybody's got questions, suggestions, things that I'm missing out on, things that you know you can do better, I don't give a shit. Shout it out. Say hello. Or lurk. It don't bother me none. Some people just like to watch. We're getting the brass tacks here. That does got a little bit of wobble to it, but I don't think I hit it all the way. And no sooner than I said that did I decide that it will not hack. That's unacceptable. So I'm redoing that. I am redoing that taping right there. Because I absolutely refuse. Even though I'm using tracing paper like a fucking first grader. But I refuse to have some substandard tape job like that. That might work out in the world, but not here. And if you think otherwise, I would reference and actually suggest you go and watch some footage of Gunnery Sergeant Hartman. Alright, so we are now going to tape to the page. And because this page is large enough, and I can't remember the exact dimensions of this sketchbook, but the pages are big enough that they go completely around a 5x7. So that little boundary that I have kind of superimposed on the picture, I just made that with the line tool in Photoshop, and that's the actual 5x7 dimensions. So when I do that, I can kind of guarantee that the artwork I'm going to do is going to go really good in a 5x7 frame. Now, typically I'm going to go bigger with the frame because I do want to matte these. That way it looks all nice and pretty, like somebody gave a little bit of a shite when they were making it. Oh, that won't do. That won't do. Excuse me, sir. All right. And on the off chance any one of my friends who is currently in a very horrible situation out in the Middle East area is finding a quiet moment and they happen across this, I do hope you're staying safe, and I hope that this was a good day for you and that tomorrow will be even better. And I highly regret that things came to the situation as they are close by to you. That said, I hope that you are also finding a little bit of a solace in knowing that most of us are on your side. And that may seem like a little arrogant from a fella who is currently using masking tape to draw an A-list celebrity. But if words of sympathy are appreciated at all, I hope they find you. All right. Back to my inane time wasting. I'm going to go ahead and open a new stylus. And I am going to get some bigger projects underway with these stylus. These are actually stylus that are used for embossing. These are embossing tools. So I always use the skinniest one because the skinniest one is going to provide me the sharpest details, the finest. Yeah, I'm going to do some quick tracing and then I'm going to get out of here, goddammit. Sincerely. Oh man. This is going to be a struggle, I think. But if anybody my side of the pond is watching, this Saturday, going to the No Kings protest. I think it's this Saturday. I better check my fucking calendar. For all I know, it could already happened. Of course, it's going to be big news when it happens. I watch the news every day, so I feel fairly confident that my disorganization may be lucking out for the moment. But I will be there. Tomorrow night, at a local spot, 5:30 p.m., there is a poetry competition in Pasco, Washington, at Café con Arte. Good little coffee shop. Beautiful art, in full support of the arts and appreciation of the creative headspace. But yeah, they have a poetry competition going on tomorrow. Starts at 5:30. I probably won't be there until about after 6 or so. But I am going to make sure that my breath doesn't smell like a nuclear accident. And go grab a coffee and see what the peeps are doing creatively. Okay, so this may be a bit shabby, but hopefully this starts getting the impression of how I start these little projects, these little nerdy diversions. So we just have to have enough definition that once we start laying in lines, that it's going to look exactly, well, close enough to who you want it to be. And he's pretty recognizable. I don't think anybody's going to have a problem recognizing Mr. Vic. And supposedly there's a part 5 being drafted. I did really like the one that came out with Ana de Armas. I thought it was a good story. Matter of fact, I might watch that while I'm going to sleep. Now, the other thing that I did never expect that I finished yesterday is there's a series called Primal, and it's by Jendi Tartakovsky. Tartakovsky is the cartoonist that he's been with Cartoon Network forever. And I do mean forever in that he created Dexter's Laboratory. And he worked extensively. I don't know if he actually created them. I'll have to check on that. But he was very involved with the Powerpuff Girls. But he did Primal. And Primal is a series about a caveman who, through a series of tragic events, winds up being kind of a life mate of a, I don't know whether to call it sauropod or a tyrannosaurid, but you know, she's a bipedal dinosaur, carnivorous. His name is Spear. That's what they call him in the show. He hardly ever actually talks. He grunts all the time. And her name, they call her Fang. So it's Spear and Fang. But I thought they were done at season 2. But they just actually came out with a season 3. And I thought season 2 was like it, the finality. There was an element of finality to it. But we got a season 3. Let's take a moment and see how this is laying down. Okay, that is laying down. For damn sure. And one of the good things about this transfer paper is that it erases really well, especially from sturdy papers like this Bristol board. So once you start laying ink into it, you can pretty much beat the heck out of the paper erasing this, because Bristol board is heavier than shit. It's like 20 sheets to a pound. And so it'll take a beating. But that will allow you to lay in some pretty intense detail work, stuff like this. And then you can go ahead and get rid of some of it. Because you don't need every damn detail. You just need enough to get the work done that you want to get done. Okay. And you really have to look at people's eyes seriously, because that's kind of a part of their signature. And so it would not be even faintly reminiscent of Mr. Wick if you got that wrong. And so pay attention to like the weight of the lid, and up here how the corners, the curvature of those goes, because even though you're tracing it, if you're to do something like this to muck that up, well, that's gonna careen the whole works right into the bowels of hell, if you don't mind me saying. If it doesn't sound too rude, too biased, non-objective, whatever. Okay, and just putting in indications of these shadows. That's going to give us a lot of freedom when we start laying in really heavy details and strong darks, and putting the contrast between the actual darks and the actual lights. Okay, let's see where we're at. We're just about there. Just about. We're getting to where I can feel confident with pumping the brakes. And remember, the big thing that I'm always going for with stuff like this is not necessarily the realism. I want to capture the light quality. So the way that the contrast hits and reflects. And so even small details like this where you go into the iris, and you can see how it's very dark around the rim of the iris, and then you get up in here and right under the lid where there is that definite shadow. So there's always a light underneath and then a shadow under, well, in normal lighting. But ultimately, with any light source, eyes are always going to come out to that from, well, like that from one degree to another. Okay. So I think we're getting, yeah, definitely closer than I thought. Shit, I may have to do one of these in crayon. I'm going to make an embroidered pillow of Mr. Wick holding his pooch. And honestly, I think that's part of one of the reasons that this movie franchise got so big, was because he's a dog person. You know, everybody relates to that. You know, it hits people right in the heart. He got his puppy killed. Bastards. Matter of fact, I think tomorrow I'm going to see if I can dig up some video. One of the things that I did notice, there are a few influencers, very, very, very sympathetic and really coming to the forefront of keeping information on like Gaza coming out, and Lebanon now, and there are people rescuing their pets. That's one of the little things that a lot of people don't think about, is in those areas, when you are decimating a population, there are a lot of animals in people's lives that are absorbing every bit of that trauma with them. And sometimes they lose their people. You know? And I mean, what are they left with? Those areas have been leveled. There is absolutely nothing left but rubble in a lot of the areas. And, you know, people are being eliminated. But there's also that other element. You know, there are a bunch of animals that may not have perished with their owners. And so there are some people out there that are risking life and limb to also rescue them. And I think that is a enormous expression of humanity, to be in the middle of an environment like that and then also think about these animals that were part of somebody's family. All right. So there he is. That's where we're starting, ladies and gentlemen. So I showed you a little bit of the process. Hope nobody is too offended to see how the proverbial sausage is made. But I'm going to call it a night since it is 3 minutes to midnight. And I swear that is good Iron Maiden reference. And of course, it's not 3 minutes to midnight, the name of their song. But anyway, any damn way. So you see, like I said, sausage is made. You guys see my little Sonic Pie screen over here. And that is what I use to construct the music. You can see all the coding right here. It's a cool app if you are curious about it. Download Sonic Pi. It's free to download. They have a bunch of tutorials on how to use it, just in case you're interested. And it does mostly only work on PC. So, anyhow, yep, we're calling it a night, ladies and gents. Oh, and there's a piece of work that I'm doing. That'll be discussed later. It's a whole thing about patterns, you know, just patterns. Just patterns. All right. Well, to anybody that stopped by, I sure appreciate it. Like I said, hopefully if you're in a area where things are not safe, you're as safe as you can possibly get. And to everybody else, if anybody's going to be out in Pasco tomorrow that's local, 5:30, going to be over there at Cafe Con Arte and listening to people throw down and having some delish coffee. Probably be drinking my Diego Rivera. Recommend. Highly recommend. But Saturday we'll be at the No Kings protest. And I'll be there mostly as a diversion because I think if ICE shows up and tries to disperse the crowd and everything, you know, getting on people and shit, I'll probably be a good distraction because I'm too fucking chunky for them to, it'll probably take a good 6 or 7 of them to drag me away. Even if I just kind of fall on the ground and just dead weight it. Hopefully they don't go boots on, but I mean, I'm probably going to wear my luchador mask as a psychological edge. But in any case, if you came by, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Give me a follow, give me a like, and check out my socials on the stream. And pretty soon I'll be having stuff going up on sale, so keep your eye out for that. The links will be in the video once I actually get that happening. So, all right, you guys have a good night. Stay safe. We'll talk to you later.